As a black man who is a member of the LGBT plus community, I really wanted to support Jasmine Sherman. However, I was not impressed with her performance at the recent debate. I found her disposition to be overly antagonistic, combative, and assumptive. I really took exception to her ageism. She stated that it was old people who got us into this mess and that it's going to take young people to fix it. First of all, most of these career politicians were young at the time that they created these horrific policies. Moreover, we are all going to become old if we live long enough. The only way to avoid the imposition of aging and declining is to become an anti natalist and not impose life onto human beings in the first place. I also took exception with her claim that non melanated people were not real allies to the black community. It was the German Quakers who fought against slavery and risked their lives helping slaves to flee their oppression. As an anarchist, my experience has been that I have more white allies than black allies. There are many people in the black community who would opt for a cash payout rather than to demand sovereignty from this oppressive government. The black majority is not interested in true liberation. They would rather remain in a perpetual state of enslavement by the state. They like having a government tell them when they can eat, sleep, and shit. They like the government telling them how to raise their children. They like not being able to work without a license from the state. They even seem to like being terrorized by the police, because if they didn't like it, they would actually do something about it. Whenever I attempt to fight against government oppression, my strongest allies are among the dominant society. At the end of the day, I'm going to choose anarchistic policies over identity politics. The government has made my life a living hell, and I want the government completely out of my life. Now, Jasmine Sherman is a hardcore statist. She supports making the jab mandatory, forcing us to dress as bank robbers and putting innocent civilians under house arrest without due process of law. Now, I'm going to actually show y'all what it says on her website. So this is the Jasmine Sherman website. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the tab where she talks about her position on COVID. So these are the bank robber masks that she wants us to wear. Here's what it says. In response to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and in conjunction with our existing COVID-19 policy, we propose a comprehensive approach that includes a 6-week transitional lockdown starting on the 92nd day of Jasmine Sherman's presidency. No, you're not getting my vote. There's no way. You clearly have not learned anything. The last shutdown is what destroyed the economy. This is the reason why the US dollar has declined. You have the government destroyed so many businesses that are never going to come back. Though, and we keep saying that it's the pandemic. It wasn't the pandemic. It was the government shutdowns, and the government did not have to shut down the economy. They did it based on executive orders. They don't even have constitutional authority to impose executive orders. Executive orders only apply to government actors, not to private actors. So, gosh, but she's a statist, so she believes that the state is the solution to everything. This integrated policy combines measures such as mandatory masking, mandatory vaccination, exemptions for religious and health reasons, housing initiative for the houseless population, and transitioning individuals impacted by carceral system to secure housing during the lockdown. Citizens will receive support through social programs, including food supplies and bill payments facilitated by a delivery system akin to Instacart and aided by the National Guard. Okay, but you're shutting down the economy. Who's paying for this? I mean, again, you didn't learn anything from the last shutdown because all they did was sit around and print money while everyone sat on their ass. You can't sustain an economy out of thin air. Somebody has to pay for this. So you're either going to pay it on the front end or you're going to pay it on the back end. Comprehensive COVID-19 measures. Number one, mandatory masking requirement. All individuals in public spaces, indoor or outdoor, are required to wear masks that cover their nose and mouth at all times, except when eating, drinking, or in a private residence. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, if you want to cover your face because you're afraid of an infection that is only lethal to a very small percentage of the population, gosh, they told us that if we weren't put on lockdown, if we didn't wear masks, everyone was going to drop dead like flies. And so clearly that was a lie because they released this they removed the imposition of house arrest for the majority of the country, and nobody's dying like flies. So why are you still perpetuating this lie? The information that came from the CDC, a lot of it has already been retracted, right? They put the false information on the front page, but then the retractions um, have not seen the light of day. And I did content about this, how they said that COVID can remain on surfaces for 72 hours. It stays in the air. And they had to debunk that. I mean, if you took a basic biology class, you know that viruses cannot remain on surfaces for more than a few seconds. So this goes against the face of basic science. And I don't see how all these medical doctors fell for the okie doke. And for Jasmine Sherman to be perpetuating this trait is dangerous, and I'm not going to support it. I'm sorry. I don't care that you're a black woman and you're LGBT. This is bullshit. Again, I'm going to choose anarchy over identity politics. Mandatory vaccinations. All eligible individuals must receive a COVID-19 vaccination. Exemptions citizens may request. Gosh, I have such a problem with that you have to request an exemption from the government, right? Ayn Rand said the ultimate inversion is when the state may do as it pleases, but the citizen may only act with permission. So we need to request permission to not get vaccinated, to not have some biological agent injected into our bloodstream that we don't even know. We're supposed to have faith that these vaccines are safe, and we don't get the right to object, right? We're supposed to just defer to them. This goes against natural law. These are man-made biological weapons. This is so dangerous. They're telling us to take. I can't say too much on YouTube because I don't want to get my channel flagged. But at the end of the day, this is propaganda. What she's saying is extremely dangerous. Medical professionals are not eligible for exemptions, but individuals with certified health conditions for preventing vaccination may be exempt. Enforcement regular vaccination checks and educational campaigns will be conducted to encourage compliance. Basically propaganda. They're going to force you to accept their narrative. I'm sorry, just because she's black and she's LGBT, that she's a statist. So she's no different from anyone else. This is tyranny, and I'm not going to support it. Transitional lockdown. The transitional lockdown aims to address homelessness and provide housing for those impacted by the carceral system while mitigating the spread of COVID-19. Housing initiative comprehensive efforts will be made to identify and provide stable housing for the houseless population. I want to get to the enforcement part. Where is that? Did I already? Yeah, I already. This is okay. This is what she says about the enforcement of mandatory masking. Non-compliance may result in fines or penalties with a focus on education and community support for those who have difficulty obtaining masks or understanding the importance of masking. No, it's not that we don't understand it. We think that it's bullshit. We looked at the science and we have made the assessment that wearing a mask is not going to do anything to risk or the spread of COVID. If you want to wear a mask for your own safety, then you have every right. You can wear a gas mask if you want to. Who cares? You can wear one of those World War II masks that we wore when we were in the damn military. Um, Now the problem with this is that Jasmine Sherman is against imprisonment, right? She believes that all criminals should be released on the streets and they should be put on house arrest. This is very naive because how do you enforce that? How do you force people to stay on house arrest? She doesn't understand the nature of government, that all acts of government are predicated upon violence. All government regulations are enforced either by taking your property through physical force, throwing you in a cage through physical force, or taking your life by physical force. So you cannot have government regulation without violence or threat thereof. She's very naive to think that she's just going to put people on house arrest and they're just going to willingly comply. No, I'm not going to comply with that bullshit. You put me on fucking house arrest, I'm going to revolt and I'm going to organize and we're going to overthrow you as the new dictator of America. Um I don't know that these liberals, and it's not about liberals, to me it's about statism. But she thinks that just because she's a liberal, just because she's pro-gay, pro-indigenous people, that she's on the right side of history. No, she's just as oppressive and tyrannical as Donald Trump or anybody else. The issue is statism, right? I mean, as I stated in a previous live stream, all tyrants or all dictators are altruistic. They think that they're doing something good. They think they're doing something noble. They're trying to help people. They're trying to save the majority at the expense of the minority. So she's trying to save whoever she thinks need protection from COVID by what? Imposing fines and penalties, which at the end of the day, let's skip past all the bullshit. If we don't pay the damn fine, if we don't stay on house arrest, you're going to send men with guns to our houses to throw us in a fucking cage. Let's call it what it is. You are a statist, a hardcore violent statist. And I'm sorry, but for me, this is a disqualifier. I cannot support Jasmine Sherman. Um, I think out of all of those candidates that were on the debate stage, this policy right here is the most dangerous. And I don't think that most black people would support that. A lot of black people did not want to get vaccinated, but they had to get vaccinated in order to maintain their jobs. So you're going to be forcing all these black people out on the streets. They're not going to be able to provide for their families, all because they refuse to get vaccinated, right? A lot of people took it, but there are people talking about all kinds of health complications as a result of that. And what are you going to do to compensate them for that? Where are their fucking reparations, right? You're talking about giving black people reparations, but you're causing new injuries, right? So based on your policies, you're going to need, excuse me, you're going to cause the government to have to pay reparations 20, 30 years down the road when these people are not able to have children, when their hair is falling out, all kinds of problems that people are talking about from from that shot, which was not thoroughly researched. That there weren't enough studies to show the efficacy of it, and on top of it, it doesn't actually prevent you from getting COVID. It just, according to them, it just reduces the effect. So yeah, don't tell me that you're going to educate me because I'm educated. It sounds to me that you're the one who needs to be educated. So this is bullshit. This is some statist hardcore, violent, tyrannical bullshit. I'm not going to support this. This is a non-starter. Out of all those candidates, I think Jasmine Sherman is the worst.